Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to this edition of the news on EQUINOXE television, live from my headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Bable Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, the Social Democratic Front (SDF) political party poised to put the Anglophone crisis on the table at the June session of the upper and lower houses of Parliament of the Republic of Cameroon during the National Executive Committee meeting of the SDF in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. The party hierarchy instructed its members of parliament, notably the senators and of course the parliamentarians, to put the Anglophone crisis on the forefront during the June session of Parliament, which happened today. And in sports, the indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon will be confronting Canada today in their first group game at the ongoing FIFA Women's World Cup in Montpellier. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on this edition of the news on EQUINOXE television. After failing to force the National Assembly to discuss the Anglophone crisis for close to 3 years today, the Social Democratic Front (SDF) political party remains determined to get the Anglophone crisis included in the agenda of the June session of Parliament as a matter of urgency, as the crisis continues deepening in the two Anglophone regions of the country, killing many, displacing hundreds of thousands, and leaving several villages burnt down. Devastating and deadly consequences highlighted by the Social Democratic Front to justify why the people's representatives in the upper and lower houses of Parliament must include the Anglophone crisis on the agenda. And during the last National Executive Committee meeting of the Social Democratic Front in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, the hierarchy of the party instructed the members of the lower and upper houses of Parliament from the SDF to force the Anglophone crisis into the agenda of the June session of Parliament. This is one of the resolutions of the National Executive Committee meeting. For me, Armstrong Sander has more.
Nightfall that members of the National Executive Committee, NEC of the Social Democratic Front, SDF party separated after a 2-day conclave in Yaoundé, ending on the eve of the June session of Parliament. NEC instructed its members of Parliament to push for the Anglophone crisis to be inscribed on the agenda of the lower and upper houses of Parliament. This, they hope, will lead to a creation of a commission of inquiry at both levels in order to see a solution to the Anglophone crisis. With regards to dialogue, as echoed by the Prime Minister in Bamenda, NEC members qualify it as a Machiavellian political philosophy.
This Machiavellic government knows that people want to hear about dialogue, inclusive dialogue, forgetting of the past and the like. So they send the Prime Minister to go to the field and parrot out that when they don't believe in it. They don't believe in it. The fact I don't believe in it is that the very time that the Prime Minister is talking about the Papa Biya sending me to say that he's open to discuss everything except separation or secession, the Minister of Territorial Administration is giving interviews saying that the form of the state is not going to be discussed. The Minister of External Relations convenes all the diplomats accredited to Yaoundé and is telling them that dialogue is a process, not an event.
They maintain blame on the government of Cameroon for the escalation of the Anglophone crisis.
They send people to go to the field and talk to themselves. The people that the government was sending out to the field was to talk to their militants. And the arrogance of it all is what brought about the problems. The ministers who went to the field they thought that they were talking to numbskulls.
Concerning the mandates of members of parliament and municipal councillors, NEC members demanded for an extension, basing their arguments on the deepening insecurity in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon.
How can you organize elections in a situation where you cannot go politicking? How can you organize elections when for the past 3 years, nobody, the ELECAM has been unable to go to the field to register people? Effectively, the curfew is dusk to dawn. So a politician like me, we normally politic in the evening, because during the day people go to doing their various activities. In the evening you sit with people, you try to talk, you do your politicking and the like. But now in the Northwest region, you cannot, because we are under a curfew.
The National Executive Committee of the Social Democratic Front, SDF party, also condemned the repression on public manifestations of the opposition in Cameroon and also called for the release of all those they qualify as political prisoners, which they believe will pave a way for a national dialogue. Within the two-day NEC meeting, members also demanded compensation for students who miss out on the written part of some official examinations as a result of the confusing days for the celebration of the feast of Ramadan. The Sonara fire incident and other major issues of national interest were also discussed by NEC members during their two-day conclave in Yaoundé.
The Social Democratic Front, led by John Fundi, has been struggling for close to 3 years today to get the Anglophone crisis on the agenda of the different parliamentary sessions in the lower and upper houses of parliament for close to 3 years today, to no avail, and the crisis has continued recording devastating and deadly impacts on the human life in the two Anglophone regions of the country, as well as on the economy of those two regions and the entire nations. And one of the companies badly affected by the crisis in the two Anglophone regions is palm oil plantations, and we spoke to the general manager, Chief Mekanya Okon Charles, and this is an extract of what he told us.
The worst hit in all this crisis, because even without the crisis, the whole of palm oil is enclaved. We don't have access to the market centers, which is our main area of operation, like others benefit who are on major roads or in major marketing centers. We have suffered a lot of damage in our rubber plantation in Bai Estate, which is in the Meme division. We lost the whole factory, the mini factory we have there, which was milling our oil and preparing, handling oil and storage there. We lost the mill. We lost 2 new tractors we bought, 2 brand new tractors we had. We lost 2 vehicles, and also our offices were vandalized, and some other tractors were also vandalized. So we paralyzed the whole Bai Estate. The Lobe, the main supply of water to the mill was damaged, was burnt down. So the whole mill was stopped. The whole mill was stopped, and the guys came and drove away workers from their offices, burnt down about 2 houses in Lipenja, vandalized the office in Lipenja, took away all the tools, the harvesting tools, farming tools, and wheelbarrows there. And I think we even lost some motorcycles too, which we kept there. Coming down to Lobe Estate, there too we lost a lot of machines which were vandalized. To rehabilitate this, what the damage which had been done to bring back the plantation for this past time. In fact, when we made the evaluation in 2018, we have to spend 1.4 billion.
And the plantations of palm oil in the Bakassi, still in the southwest region of the country, have equally been severely affected by the Anglophone crisis and the management of palm oil. And of course, public authorities are now striving to revive the activities of palm oil, and the general manager says that all security measures have been put in place to ensure the security of the workers and of course the inhabitants of the area. Take a listen.
Right now we have gone into the factory. It takes a long process. This factory has been left for 3 years without attention. So you go gradually. Everything was gripped. You have to go into the factory, clean the conveyors, clean the digester, clean the presses, which were stocked with material. The plantations are now habitable. They are now secure. The military is doing a wonderful job both in Mundemba and Ekundotiti. Even those in Mbonge and Kumba who are taking care of the routes to Ndian. So, as I can guarantee you right now that I'm talking to you, I would be bold to say that we have been able to make the place secure for the inhabitants or people who are there. I'm not sure you will hear again that the Amber boys are disturbing the inhabitants of the plantation and the vicinities in Jan now that I'm talking to you. That one, if I take it from me. We have close to 6.5 billion francs for the meal, which the government has made available for us, which, as I told you, the problem is getting the money from finance, and the treasury is have a squeezed treasury because with all these crises we have in the northern and southwest, a lot of money is deployed for security, which is understandable. But that notwithstanding, we keep on pleading to the government, the Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Plan and Economy, and Minister of Finance. I would say that we pay a lot of gratitude to them, and not forgetting also the Prime Minister, past and current, who have been in this dossier very strongly to see that palm oil survives.
Coming up, Innocent Azé reports that militants of the Union des Populations du Cameroun UPC political party got into a clash with forces of law and order in the Senegal Maritime Division over a planned gathering of that historic political party, and it is after a violent tussle between the militants and the security, or better still, the forces of law and order, that the meeting finally took place. Details in this report.
A talk of war between UPC party militants and elements of the National Gendarmerie. A meeting planned by the UPC party on Saturday, June 8 must take place according to leaders and militants of the party. To the divisional officer for Day 1, there was an authorization, but no more. This follows a communique he signed on June 7, eve of the UPC organized meeting. He had on May 27, in a release, authorized the UPC meeting.
Quand vous n'avez pas répondu, ça veut dire qu'il n'y a pas de problème. Il y a un nombre de jours, mais pas autant de jours que ça.
The mayor of Edea One Council says he had not been notified of the ban.
Je me dis que les gens doivent se respecter. Nous sommes tous les autorités ici. Moi, je suis l'autorité politique et municipale.
This to the UPC family is unacceptable and war being waged.
Créez pas l'incident parce que nous ne faisons pas d'incident à Edea.
Broken chairs are results of the conflict.
Le commandant m'a tapé.
Other determined militants have a firm grip of their chairs to attend the must hold meeting. This planned event by the Secretary General, Balaguer Pierre, is first ever since a communique bearing the signature of the Minister of Territorial Administration rebaptizes him as Secretary General of the UPC that has plunged into crisis and conflict over the post of Secretary General, thus division of the party. The same Minat boss, in a release last year, had appointed by Polyport as new Secretary General, but had to change his mind after receiving endless bitter appeals from most of the militants. They wanted their former Secretary General back. However, the UPC meeting finally held at about 3:30 p.m. Saturday with authorization from the Senior Divisional Officer for the Sanaga Maritime Division ordering the security forces to evacuate the meeting venue. Accusing fingers point at the Minat boss for creating confusion, division and conflict within the UPC, whose leaders implore should remain united.
C'est pour cela que nous sommes sûrs et certains que la crise anglophone va se résoudre au Cameroun.
Mutlen Ferdinand, Deputy Mayor of the Edeya One Council, praised the courage, resistance and the determination of the militants as well as supporters to see the planned meeting hold despite the rains, fights and threats from security forces.
Nous sommes fiers de vous.
The number of rapid intervention battalion soldiers in the Republic of Cameroon has increased by 2,230. They graduated recently in the OPEC city of Limbe in the southwest region of the country out of 200 or 2,300 who were in training. And of course, the graduation ceremony was presided at by General Philip Pai, as Maimo reports from Limbe.
It is the very first time this reporter is witnessing a senior military personnel in an official event giving directives to military personnel in the English language.
From this day, you have come to serving the Republic of Cameroon. Thank you.
This can be said is proof of government commitment in the use of Cameroon's two official languages, French and English, in every domain. 2,230 in number, as against 2,300 who were recruited. The young commandos kneeling down in front of the national flag took the oath in defending the country in all its spheres. The commander of the B Training Center at Manoa Bay, Lieutenant Colonel Danziba Rene, says the young soldiers, though, shall continue with the next stage of their training in certain specialty. They are now ready to defend the country.
2,300 recruits were taken on the 10th of February 2019, and today they are finishing 2,230. And we can say the name of the batch is Fighting Spirits. Today they are ready to go to the second stage, which is the Infantry Commando, who will be starting on the 24th June 2019.
Nonetheless, family members of the young commandos who answered present at the graduation ceremony expressed satisfaction and promised to stand by them.
I'm very happy I came with my family. That is my wife. The junior sister of my wife and the other one. Yes, we came, four of us, just to enjoy it. We did not want to leave our son alone because we are far from Bafusa. Yes, for that occasion especially.
I am very happy because today I see my elder brother for the affinities first phases. I am very happy. I just pray God that he still continue with them with the second phase. That all things pass.
ceremony, which ended with a military march past by the young commandos, equally saw civilians and officers of the B dining together, showcasing one of B's mission in upholding the spirit of patriotism and love for one another as Cameroonians.
In the report coming up next, Hermine Iluga takes a look at the consequences of recurrent floods in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala.
The look of these images, many would think they are in a village-setting suburb. But no, we are at the economic metropolis, precisely at Bonabasem, a neighborhood within the Douala 5 Council area. Here, livelihood is more of a nightmare. Once it rains, inlets remain flooded. House occupants struggle here and there with plates and buckets, dishes, hopelessly with the rainy water. Houses, after all, swim in the seasonal pools. As such, the population face the plight.
Suffering because of certain work. I don't know which type of work they are doing, because here we are suffering from water. Every night we cannot sleep in our homes because of water. From 8 p.m. till the morning, we are just suffering because of water. We cannot go to work. All our parents cannot go to work because all our homes is full of water. We don't know how. We don't know what to do. We don't know how to do. We stood up this morning only in the rain. Our beds, all our home was full of water. Full consequences for this problem. So we don't know. We don't know. We don't know.
From the look of things, engagements have been taken by the respective quarters in charge of infrastructures like that of seeing into the maintenance and construction of roads and drainage facilities, which many have it remains the major factors blamed over the situation. With incomplete work within this neighborhood, the fact remains definite. Such realities in a country's economic capital in the 21st century simply reflects the continuous failure of a government which ought to better off the living conditions of its citizens.
In sports, the indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon will be on the pitch in Montpellier this evening as from 8 p.m. and they will be confronting Canada in their first group match at the FIFA Women's World Cup. And the Lionesses were at the pitch earlier on the acclamation before the encounter. And of course, Michelle Ambam is one of the Lionesses, and she spoke to us. Take a listen.
It's the World Cup starting June 7th. We're here in Montpellier. We want to thank all of the local Cameroonians here that came to welcome us at the hotel. It was such a great surprise. We are so happy as a group, as a team, as a family to be able to start this journey finally. And we ask for all the Cameroonians around the world for your continued support as we continue on this marathon run in this tournament. So thank you all so much.
The indomitable Lionesses were earlier on that same pitch to get themselves acquainted to the playing ground, and of course all two African representatives, South Africa and Nigeria, were beaten over the weekend. And still in sports, Cameroon's head coach, or the head coach of the indomitable Lions of Cameroon, has reduced the number of players in camp at the Real de Madrid training center in Spain. And of course, Clarence Seedorf cut down the list, that is after a win over Zambia and in a warm-up game over the weekend. Smanjik and Gabriel reports.
After the 2-1 victory over Zambia in their warm-up game on Sunday in view of the African Nations Cup, head coach Clarence Seedorf has reduced the 36-man squad to 29, with Petrus Bumal, Paul Georges Ntep, Edgar Sali, Jérôme Ongene and Fabrice Olinga pushed out of the Lions' den in Spain. The likes of Jean-Pierre Same, Tristan Dingome and Jean-Charles Castelletto were were eliminated from the squad due to injuries sustained during the period in camp. The team of Clarence Seedorf that ends his training session at the Ciudad de Real Madrid this week will later move to Doha to continue his training camp. While in Doha, the team will once again be slashed down to 23, which will be the final squad that will travel to Egypt to defend the title the Indomitable Lions won in Gabon 2017.
The Indomitable Lions of Cameroon are currently confronting a team that is Al Concon. It's a team that they are playing in a warm-up game ahead of the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations bid for Egypt. That's it for this edition of the news. Thanks for staying with us.